I used to believe marriage was a refuge, a place where two people could drop their armor and be safe. Love, I thought, was a shield strong enough to keep everything else out. I was wrong. My name is Daniel, and for 3 years I thought my wife, Claire, was my anchor. She was radiant, magnetic, the kind of person who filled a room without trying. I admired her for that, until I saw how easily that charm could be turned against me. It began subtly. Little references to her past slipped into conversations. She'd mention Alex, her ex, as though he were just another story from an old life, harmless, casual. I told myself it meant nothing. Everyone has a history. But there was something in the way she said his name, like a spark she couldn't quite hide. One night at dinner with friends, Alex came up again. Claire laughed, too easily, too brightly, as she shared a memory of their wild college nights. A quiet knot formed in my stomach. I didn't want to be that man, the jealous husband, but the unease wouldn't leave. On the drive home, I asked gently, "Do you have to bring him up so often?" She turned to me, smirking. "What's the matter?" "Jealous." I swallowed the frustration. "It feels disrespectful, Claire. You don't hear me talking about old girlfriends, do you?" Her laugh sliced through the dark like a blade. "Oh, Daniel, you're so insecure. Jealous over a man I dumped years ago? That's pathetic." The word hit harder than she knew, not just the insult itself, but the way she delivered it, like my feelings were nothing but a joke. That night, lie awake next to her, I finally saw it. Claire didn't just brush off my pain. She fed on it. Over the next few weeks, things unraveled slowly. Every mention of Alex felt less like a slip and more like a test. She'd glance at me from the corner of her eye, watching for a reaction. When I stayed silent, she pushed harder. One evening, wine glass twirling between her fingers, she said with a sly smile, "You know, Alex always told me I had a gift for making men jealous." Guess he was right. I stared at her, unsure whether to laugh or to break. "Why do you do this?" I asked quietly. Her brow lifted. "Do what?" "Rub it in. Mock me. Pretend my feelings don't matter." She laughed sharply. "Daniel, you need thicker skin. If you can't handle a name from the past, maybe you're not cut out for marriage." Something hardened in me at that moment. Love had made me patient before, willing to overlook small cuts. But now those cuts were bleeding me dry. I started to see her not as my partner, but as someone who thrived on keeping me small. Days blurred into weeks. My silence became her stage. "Alex took me to nicer restaurants," she'd say. Or, "At least he didn't sulk when I teased him." Always followed by that laugh. Not warm, but sharp, superior. I didn't argue. I didn't shout. Instead, I began quietly saving money, a little from every paycheck, hidden where she couldn't find it. At night, while she slept, I sat on the edge of the bed scrolling through flight options. At first it was a fantasy, a seat, an escape. Then it became a plan. A one-way ticket. A clean break. The breaking point came one Saturday afternoon. Claire glanced up from her phone and said, almost lazily, "Funny, Alex messaged me today. Guess some men just never move on." She studied me, waiting for anger, for jealousy. But she didn't see rage in my eyes this time. She saw calm. That night, I booked a flight. A one-way ticket to Denver, where an old friend had offered me a spare room if I ever needed it. The confirmation email felt like the first real breath I'd taken in months. For the next week, I moved like an actor in a final performance, smiling at dinner, nodding at her jabs, pretending I hadn't already left our marriage in my heart. Claire didn't notice, or maybe she didn't care. On Friday, she was in rare form. We were supposed to meet friends for dinner. Standing before the mirror, adjusting her earrings, she smirked. "You know," she said, "I think I've finally tamed you. The old Daniel would be fuming over Alex by now. Look at you, quiet, obedient. Guess you've learned who's in charge." I slipped my jacket over my arm, face unreadable. "Maybe you're right," I said softly. She mistook my calm for surrender, her smile widening. What she didn't know was that in my bag, tucked between neatly folded clothes, were my signed divorce papers. I'd left copies with my lawyer that afternoon. We never made it to dinner. I told her I had an errand to run and would meet her there. She waved me off, pleased with herself. That was the last time she saw me as her husband. The next morning, while she called and texted, wondering where I'd gone, I was already thousands of feet above the ground, the city shrinking beneath me. Her messages swung from confusion to fury to panic. It didn't matter. She'd find the envelope on the kitchen counter soon enough, the one marked with her name in my handwriting. Inside was my farewell letter and the divorce papers she never believed I'd sign. For years, she mocked my jealousy, twisting it into weakness. But when I finally left, she learned the truth. Jealousy wasn't my downfall. It was my warning, and ignoring it cost her everything.